Hello and welcome to the farm, which is the home to this flock of very special creatures. I'm sure that most of you will recognise them as sheep. Let me tell you a couple of interesting facts about these woolly creatures. They eat a lot. Most sheep learn to eat about the equivalent of a 5-gallon bucket of grass or hay every day. But it's a little more complicated than just eating the food. Once they have eaten it, they then have to re-chew it all. They do this by regurgitating small amounts and grinding it up with their powerful molars. Sheep can also find themselves in a bit of a pickle at times. Heavily pregnant or overweight sheep sometimes have a very hard time righting themselves if they have somehow fallen onto their backs. If you see a sheep in this position, it's best to find an adult so that the farmer can be located to roll the sheep back over. You may be wondering why I'm stood in a field talking to you about sheep, but sheep are actually a really important part of the farming industry in our country. I wonder if anybody knows which harvests come from sheep farming. I'll give you a few minutes just to chat amongst yourselves with whoever you're with and see if you can come up with a few answers. There are actually 4 main things that sheep produce. They are meat, milk, cheese and wool. Let's take meat to start with. I wonder how many of you have sat down to a roast lamb before or a shepherd's pie. I'm quite partial to a lamb curry myself. People have been eating lamb for many, many years. According to the Bible, even Jesus ate lamb. As well as being able to eat the meat of a sheep, they also produce milk. You may have heard of this being called ewe's milk. It is only the female sheep which produce the milk. Their milk production does not occur all year round though, only after lambing. The milk can then be used to make cheese and other products such as yoghurt and ice cream. Feta is a popular Greek cheese that is made from ewe's milk. Possibly the most well-known harvest that comes from sheep is wool. Every spring the sheep are sheared and the fleece comes off in clumps and lumps. This fleece is full of natural oils which provide a waterproof coat for the sheep. Once the fleece is removed from the sheep, it is washed, dyed and spun into long threads or yarn. Here's an interesting fact for you. 1 pound of wool can make up to 10 miles of yarn, and 1 sheep, depending on the breed, can produce between 2 and 30 pounds of wool a year. If you can do the maths, you will realise that that is a lot of yarn. Some people knit the yarn into garments by hand, such as baby clothes can be knitted or crocheted. Here are some examples. Blankets can be woven on a weaving frame called a loom. Many different coloured threads are used to make the weave on the frame. 1 thread on its own could not have done it, just as 1 person on their own cannot make a family or a class or a church. Humility means not being proud or boastful. Therefore, no one person is more important than another. Just like the shepherds who keep these sheep were seen to be no less important in the nativity scene as the kings were. The Bible says that everyone is precious and equally loved by God. Each person has been given gifts to share with those around them and must also learn to celebrate the gifts of others. Hopefully, you have all been given a length of thread. Weave your thread through your fingers, just like you would weave on a weaving frame. Whilst you do this, thank God for the gifts of somebody in your family or class or your church.